In July 1907, Dublin Castle, the seat of British authority in Ireland, became the center of a mystery that remains unsolved over a century later. The Irish crown jewels, the regalia of the Order of St. Patrick, were discovered missing just days before a planned visit by King Edward VII. Their vanishing triggered a political uproar and launched an investigation riddled with suspicion, scandal, and ruined reputations. The jewels were kept in a safe located within Bedford Tower. On the morning of July 6, a cleaning woman arrived to find the outer door to the strong room wide open. A key still hung in the lock. Nothing seemed immediately amiss until later in the day, when someone attempted to place a ceremonial collar in the safe. Only then was the horrifying truth revealed. The crown jewels had vanished. The lack of forced entry strongly suggested an inside job. Whoever committed the theft had access to the keys, or near-perfect copies. Even more striking was the thief's apparent calm and precision. Nothing inside the safe had been damaged. A decorative ribbon was unscrewed and left behind, and the packing cloths had been neatly refolded. This wasn't a rushed crime. It was methodical, deliberate, and likely carried out by someone who expected not to be interrupted. Sir Arthur Vickers, the Ulster King of Arms, was immediately scrutinized. As the official custodian of the jewels, he was responsible for the safe's security. Vickers was known for his carelessness. He had once allowed friends at a party to wear the jewels, waking the next morning to find them draped over his clothing. On another occasion, he left a key unattended, which was later recovered by a servant. Though he denied any role in the theft, his negligence earned him a forced resignation and public disgrace. Suspicion turned to Francis Shackleton, Vickers' close associate, and the brother of famed explorer Ernest Shackleton. Francis had been appointed to an honorary post at the Office of Arms, giving him proximity to both the jewels and Vickers. He often stayed with Vickers in Dublin, and many believed he had taken advantage of their close relationship to steal the keys while Vickers was inebriated. Shackleton's financial woes added motive. He was deep in debt and known to move in elite circles where appearances mattered. The theory that Shackleton, possibly with help from Captain Richard Gorges, exploited Vickers' lax security gained traction. Gorges, a former army officer with a checkered history, was also rumored to be involved. One account claimed the pair removed the jewels during a drunken night at Vickers' residence, then covered their tracks so completely that the theft wasn't detected for days. Shackleton was never officially charged. His alibi was that he had left Ireland weeks before the jewels were reported missing. But since the exact date of the theft remains uncertain, that defense was not airtight. Later, Shackleton was convicted of fraud unrelated to the jewel theft, reinforcing suspicions about his character. He eventually fled abroad, living under an assumed name and dying in obscurity. Another figure emerged posthumously, Francis Bennett Goldney, a castle official considered beyond reproach at the time of the crime. Years later, after his death in a car crash, authorities discovered a cache of stolen antiquities in his home. Though there is no direct evidence tying him to the missing jewels, this revelation suggested he may have had both the opportunity and the inclination to steal. No arrests were ever made, and the crown jewels have never been recovered. While not of vast monetary value, their symbolic importance made the loss a lasting embarrassment for British rule in Ireland, and one of history's most tantalizing unsolved thefts. The Sea of Galilee's submerged enigma. Beneath the placid waters of Israel's Sea of Galilee lies a mysterious stone formation that has puzzled scientists since it was first detected during sonar mapping in 2003. Circular in shape and immense in scale, this submerged monument remains an archaeological riddle. The structure rises 30 feet from the lakebed and spans roughly 200 feet across, built from an estimated 60,000 tons of basalt boulders. These stones are not native to the immediate area, which suggests they were transported from over a mile away, likely during a time when the site was dry land. That in itself implies substantial planning, labor, and social coordination. Divers confirmed the anomaly is man-made, constructed without mortar or apparent tools. The arrangement resembles a giant cairn or burial mound, but lacks definitive features like chambers or artifacts. The absence of tool marks has led researchers to conclude that the stones were laid by hand, in a deliberate pattern. Though no obvious symbolism is evident, dating the monument has proven difficult. Analysis of surrounding sediment indicates it could have been submerged for anywhere from 2,000 to 12,000 years. Many archaeologists lean toward the early Bronze Age, around 3,000 to 2,000 BCE, because of the proximity to the ancient city of Bet Yara and the presence of other megalithic constructions in the region. As for purpose, three main theories dominate discussion. One is that the structure served as a ceremonial or burial site, echoing ancient European burial cairns. Another possibility is that it functioned as a public or ritual space tied to nearby settlements. A third theory suggests it was an aquaculture tool, perhaps a stone fish trap, though its size far exceeds known examples. The murky water and silt-heavy lakebed complicate excavation. Visibility is poor, and underwater archaeology at this scale is expensive and technically demanding. To date, no comprehensive excavation has been undertaken, and no artifacts have been recovered that would clarify its origin. Until such a project is attempted, this ancient underwater monument remains an unsolved piece of the historical puzzle, silent, massive, and enigmatic beneath the lake's surface. The Werewolf of God. In 17th century Livonia, a peculiar trial unfolded that defied the typical logic of witch hunts. An elderly man named Thais of Kaltenbrunn stood before judges and claimed, without shame or coercion, that he was a werewolf. Not just any werewolf, one who served God. Unlike most accused shapeshifters of the time, Thais didn't claim to have made a pact with the devil. Instead, he described himself and others like him as defenders of the community. On certain nights, he claimed, they transformed into wolves and descended into hell, accessed via a local marsh, to retrieve the harvest stolen by witches allied with Satan. These journeys, Thais insisted, were sacred missions. The werewolves battled witches and demonic guardians, returning stolen livestock and crops to ensure the land's fertility. In this worldview, witches were the true villains, and werewolves were divine warriors. The court was baffled. Accustomed to treating all supernatural claims as satanic, the judges couldn't decide how to interpret Thais' testimony. He was not remorseful. He rejected the authority of the local pastor and refused to recant, asserting that clergy had done nothing to stop evil while he had risked his life for the harvest. Ultimately, Thais was found guilty, not of witchcraft, but of heresy. His unorthodox theology and refusal to conform to church doctrine earned him 20 lashes and permanent exile. Yet, unlike most accused werewolves of the era, he was not executed. Historians have debated Thais' story for decades. Italian historian Carlo Ginzburg saw in it echoes of ancient shamanic traditions. He linked Thais to the Benandanti, a group in northern Italy who claimed to leave their bodies and fight witches in dreams. Both groups saw themselves as protectors of crops and community, wielding mystical powers in service of divine, not demonic, forces. Others interpret Thais' tale as a symbolic act of resistance. Livonia at the time was marked by deep class divisions. Some scholars believe the werewolf narrative allowed peasants to frame their struggle against oppressive landlords in folkloric terms. Witches, in this view, represented the ruling elite stealing the community's sustenance, while werewolves were the common folk fighting back. Whether Thais believed every word or was drawing on local legend to make a larger point, his case remains singular in the annals of early modern Europe. A defiant assertion that the wild and the holy need not be opposites, and that even a werewolf could serve the light.